Old sheepdog Mukhtar's time was drawing to a close. The reality of age had transformed him from a large, robust, majestic dog to a frail old soul. Mukhtar languidly roamed around his caregiver's home, peering distantly with his somewhat foggy eyes. What Mukhtar was observing remained a puzzle, yet he seemed to regard that far-off point for prolonged durations, as though something significant yet long forgotten was dawning upon him, rousing his enthusiastic dog heart. Spring arrived with its comforting warmth, breathing life back into the world chilled by the winter, supplying renewed vigor and gradually, drop by slow drop, draining it from the elderly dog. As Mukhtar reclined on the porch, he felt the sting of impending doom. He realized this spring would be his last. It wasn't dread about his diminishing strength and the incoming certainty of the end that distressed him. He was troubled over having to bid farewell to his cherished and only caretaker. Seeing Mukhtar's torment day by day and being helpless to intervene, the caregiver decided it was time to relieve him from his severe suffering. That evening, Mukhtar was treated to a hearty and tasty meal, after which his caregiver spent a considerable duration on the porch along with him. As he gently patted Mukhtar's head and mumbled words of affection, both of them together observed the river, now devoid of ice, with minor, slushy patches shimmering under the setting sun's last rays. The next day, the caregiver led Mukhtar to the riverbank, where a boat lay, not holding the usual fishing equipment, but a stick and a sturdy rope, with a loop on one end and a heavy pebble on the other. Mukhtar cast a puzzled glance at his caregiver, attempting to connect with his gaze, but the man deliberately avoided eye contact. "Let's go," he commanded quietly, without consciously acknowledging his faithful companion. Suddenly, an unexplained agonizing sensation surged through Mukhtar, filling him with unbearable discomfort. He wished to howl audibly to deter this pain, to liberate himself from it, but couldn't disobey his caregiver. He didn't enthusiastically jump into the boat as he used to, but followed dutifully, meticulously adjusting his old limbs with swollen joints. With vigorous strokes, the caregiver navigated the boat toward the deepest part of the river. Eventually, he relinquished the paddles, looped the lasso around Mukhtar's neck, leaned in, and held the elderly canine tightly. "Forgive me," he whispered into the dog's sensitive ear. All the while, Mukhtar observed his owner with affectionate confusion, his nervous shivering noticeably. His owner picked up a stick and tossed it into the water with a swing of his arm. "Fetch, Mukhtar." It had been a favored command of the dog in his younger, vigorous years as a shepherd dog, who would spend hours retrieving the stick from the water, handing it back to his owner enthusiastically, with a sense of pride. However, now something ominous was reflected in the owner's gaze. For the first time, Mukhtar felt a flicker of unease. The dog took one last look at his cherished owner and leaped into the water, swimming heavily towards his objective. The owner lifted a stone and carelessly tossed it into the water. The sudden weight change caused the boat to rock violently and tip over, plunging both occupants into the freezing waters. The owner, weighed down by his waterlogged clothes, attempted to swim to the land, but the current drew him underwater, causing his legs to cramp up. Foamy water closed over his head. A heavy stone was pulling Mukhtar under. However, the dog was able to view his beloved owner lose his balance and sink underwater. Remarkably, the fiercely struggling dog wriggled free from the loop. Upon breaking the surface, loyal Mukhtar summoned all his strength, diving back under to rescue his owner. Eventually, he managed to pull his incredibly heavy owner out of the turbulent waters. The old and unwell dog forced himself to swim to the shore, delivering his darling owner safely. They remained on the shore for some time, the man with his dog. The owner awoke, spotted the barely living and utterly depleted Mukhtar next to him, and uttered a cry, unlike anything he had ever heard before. Numbly, he lifted Mukhtar into his arms and pressed him close, stumbling with legs that had no feeling, ignorant of the icy chill of his soaked clothes. "Must get home," his thoughts screamed. Mukhtar, enveloped in a cozy blanket, woke up after a day, not in his kennel, but in a room where it was warm and peaceful. "Perhaps I'm in a paradise," the elder dog contemplated. His owner approached with a bowl of warm milk, teardrops from his eyes audibly striking the liquid. "Mukhtar, buddy, we still have strength for a good struggle." The pair stayed connected in happiness and sorrow for the remaining time allocated to them. On a warm, sunny day, Mukhtar passed away. He passed happily and at peace. Take care of your devoted and faithful mature dogs. They require it the most.